And some of the scores they got were just top drawer scores, fantastic scores.
Because it's unfair for us to say Mayo were poor, given how well Sligo
We shouldn't
played.
be saying that, actually, because this is why we did this piece. Like, Taylor got a ball there, 45 yards out, kicked it over there. Young Gil Martin as well, over near the sideline. And these were all well outside the 30-yard line. Alan Costello, God, if he couldn't get his game for Mayo, he was the best Mayo player on the field yesterday. He was absolutely superb. And Kelly broke their hearts yesterday. His movement inside was unbelievable.
Well, great
left and right.
To Kevin Walsh, you know, he's built the team, and they've made steady progress. You know, it's only less than 12 months ago when they put Kerry to the pin of the collar. So but the Sligo graph is upwards.
And Eamon O'Hara as well was brilliant in the position because they were under pressure. After 10 minutes, he went back, he played a sweeper, but he didn't actually just hand back in front of the full back. The Sligo players found him, worked the ball out, and he was very good. It was a well-deserved
Tony,
victory.
the point I'm making is we went a point or two down. There was about 12 or 13 minutes left as we lost the next 8 or 9 kickouts on breaking ball. The Mayo bodies weren't diving in, they weren't sacrificing the body to get those possessions and drive Mayo up the field. And that's the disappointing thing for me.
And what about Sligo's chances when they go to Galway at the end of June, Liam?
They've improved a lot. They have a few wins under their belt. They've won Division 3. They're playing with a lot of confidence. They've obviously got a very, very good coach. Galway aren't setting the world alight. If Michael Meehan isn't back or if he's not 100% fit, they can go to Pearse Stadium and win.
Anyone else?
Well, I tipped Sligo to win the Connacht Championship when we put up the things there at the beginning of the Sunday game, and I'm not changing now because, you know, they always had passion and fire. Now what they have done is they've discovered 3 or 4 new players who've made a big addition to this team. Sligo are going to be difficult for anybody to beat.
Okay. Lots to look forward to. My thanks then to Tony, to Colm, and especially to Liam for joining us this evening. But coming up next, it's Dublin versus Laois in the Leinster hurling quarter-final, and we'll be looking ahead to tomorrow's big game in Munster between Clare and Waterford. A reminder about tomorrow's live game from Thurles as Clare take on Waterford in the Munster hurling semi-final. You can join Michael on the panel from 2:30 on RTE2. And we'll be chatting about that game shortly with Peter Finnerty. Pete, you're very welcome. And before we chat about that, a quick reminder about our competition, because RTE Sport and Etihad Airways, proud sponsors of the All-Ireland Hurling Championships, are offering you and a friend or family member living in Australia the chance to win a trip to the Munster Senior Hurling Final and make it home for hurling. Etihad Airways will fly your nominated friend or family member home, plus a guest, from any of their destinations across Australia in time to catch the Munster Hurling Final. Now, as well as 2 pairs of tickets to the game, you'll also receive accommodation overnight for 4 people and €1,000 to spend. So to enter, all you have to do is correctly answer the following question. Who beat Tipperary in the quarter-final of this year's Munster Hurling Championship? Was it Clare, Limerick or Cork? Call 1515 71 71 74 with your selection, or text hurling followed by your answer and contact details to 57111. The number to call from Northern Ireland, 0901 293 0550. Terms and conditions go to RTR Airtel page 193. The lines are open until midnight on Sunday, June 20th. You must be 18 years or over to enter, and we'll announce the winner on the Saturday game live on June 26th. Right then, let's check out today's action from Leinster at Nolan Park as Dublin took on Laois for the right to meet Kilkenny in the semi-final. Reporting on this one is Darren Frehel.
Nolan Park was the venue for Dublin hurling's big breakthrough last season, but almost 12 months on, Anthony Daly's side are still searching for the consistency required to make an impact in the championship. They're expected to beat Laois, but it wasn't the sort of game they'd take for granted. As expected, the Laois men made life very difficult for the Dubs in the opening exchanges. They looked lively in attack, and Zane Keenan was one of those who impressed. Willie Highland was equally impressive, both from set pieces and open play. He was at the heart of everything good about the Midlanders and notched 4 points in the opening 35 minutes. Laois looked the better team, but 8 bad wides meant their domination wasn't reflected on the scoreboard. It allowed Dublin back in the game. Alan McCrabb showed the Laois men how it should be done. 3 clinical first-half finishes, including this line ball. Starman Dotsu Callaghan looked out of sorts. This game probably came a little bit too soon after his hamstring problems. But others stepped up to the plate, including midfielders Shane Durkin and John McCaffrey, who has a good eye for a score. He gave his side an undeserved 2-point lead at the break. Last year's Leinster finalists came flying out of the traps in the second half. 3 points in 3 minutes, including this one from Paul Ryan, seemed to suggest they'd found their rhythm at last. The Laois cause was dealt a bad blow, and captain Brian Campion got his marching orders 5 minutes later for a second yellow. He can have no complaints. Dublin's numerical advantage always kept them one step ahead. Points from Liam Rush, John McCaffrey, Peter Kelly and Shane Durkin kept the scoreboard ticking over. Laois were looking tired and frustration was creeping in. Sub Colin Delaney got his marching orders for his second yellow. Dublin ran out 9-point winners, but don't let the score fool you. They've a lot of work to do ahead of a meeting with Kilkenny in 2 weeks' time.
We hit 17 wides. We scored 16, hit 17 wides. But, you know, Dublin are a good bit ahead of us at the present time, you know, as regards their physical preparation and their level of core strength, you know, but that's something where we're trying to get to.
We couldn't really get away from them. We seemed to keep the same gap between us the whole way, and then maybe the sendings off, the game opened up a bit and we started to pull away at the end. So I would have to say the score certainly flattered us at the end of the game.
Because we've a huge amount of work to do and we haven't time to do it, but it's all about heads and hearts now for the next day.
Good performance by Laois by all accounts. Did Dublin learn a lot from a game like that, Pete?
No, Dublin were never going to learn anything from a game like that, because they're always expected to win it. If they lose it, it's a disaster. If they score 26 points, it really means nothing. If they score 4 goals, it means nothing. But it's important they got a championship game under their belt before they face Kilkenny. Kilkenny haven't played a championship game now since the All-Ireland final at least. Dublin have met in a dressing room, that have got together, they've got focus for the match, and they'll have all that out of the way, and it'll be similar in preparation the next day. For Laois, 18 wides, finishing the match with 13 players. Again, we'll say even take before the match, one of their players was sent off the last day. He wasn't available for selection. And Niall Rigney is a very passionate man, loves his county, you know, and he'd be even passionate playing snakes and ladders. But if he doesn't have his full panel to pick from, because of indiscipline, he's never going to go anywhere. Laois is still a long way down in the pecking order.
All right, so Dublin go in against Kilkenny. Everyone's writing them off. What kind of plan can Anthony Daly hope to come up with? How do you contain Kilkenny? Nobody's managed it.
Well, he's definitely not going to be allowed to score 26 points against Kilkenny. And he's going to have to develop some forwards or some forward play that score goals. If you can't score a goal against Laois, it's worrying. They played Kilkenny last year in the Leinster final, and the difference between the two teams was 2 goals. Dublin didn't score any goal and Kilkenny scored 2. So he has to get more potent up front, more dangerous in front of goal, and not be prepared just to take the shot from 40, 50 yards. Try and create something. Like the Eddie Brennan, when he sees 1-on-1 inside, he's going for goal. Dublin has to get more clinical up front.
But do they also need to contain? I mean, come up with some ploy at the back?
Well, last year they contained Kilkenny in the sense they brought John McCaffrey back, and he played as an extra defender, and it closed Kilkenny down. The only problem with that, Kilkenny have players of the calibre of Henry and even Tommy Welsh that'll score points from 60 and 70 yards. So do that against, we'll say, the likes of a weaker side, you will contain them, you'll top them scoring, but with a team like Kilkenny that has such a player that'll score from 80 or 90 yards, they'll beat you on points that way.
All right, OK. Well, that's ahead of us. Earlier this evening, though, the All-Ireland hurling qualifier draw was made in Killarney, and this was the outcome. Carlow play Laois in the preliminary round, with the winners playing Antrim in Phase 1. The second game in Phase 1 will certainly be an interesting one, as Tipperary face Wexford. So Carlow meet Laois again. It's a bit like Cork and Kerry in football.
That it's something that Carlow will not want, you know.